Hey there, over the past 7 days, I ate nothing but 100 eggs. That's about 15 eggs per day. So what the clock happened? I'll give you all the details and tell you exactly what I did and the crazy results that followed. Some of these results got me really excited. Hey, I'm Joe with Wellness Way, and we're gonna stop with all the egg puns, all yoking aside. I'm a registered nurse by profession, health coach by passion. Let's go. Okay, so you're probably wondering why eggs. I'll tell you, these guys are packed with nutrients like proteins, vitamins, and minerals. Eggs are considered a complete protein source, meaning they contain all 9 essential amino acids. And nutrients are essential if they must be taken in through dietary intake. So eggs pack a big punch when it comes to amino acids. Also, contrary to past beliefs, eggs are wonderful for heart health. They are rich in HDL cholesterol, which is considered our good cholesterol. These guys also contain antioxidants like lutein and zeaxanthin, both of which promote eye health. Another amazing benefit is their impact on brain health. Choline, which is found in eggs, helps with neurotransmitter synthesis, and this helps by improving memory, mood regulation, and just overall brain function. Studies have shown that regular egg consumption is crucial for brain development in kids and wonderful for prevention of cognitive decline in older adults. Now, for those of us watching our weight, these eggs have a high protein content, which promotes satiety, getting you feeling fuller faster and longer. Also, it works to decrease hunger hormones like ghrelin, keeping those snackings and cravings at bay. So whether it's over easy, hard boiled, scrambled, poached, if you incorporate eggs into your diet, there's a lot of benefits that you'll be reaping. All right, so let's talk about some of the rules that I set for myself for this 1 week challenge. The first rule was 5 days prior to my challenge week, I ate the standard American diet. I know, tough work, but I was back to eating breads, rice, grains, pastas, cereals, cookies, cakes, all those delectable desserts. You know, and I wanted to do this because I wanted to go into the challenge with the typical baseline of the average American eating the standard American diet. The second rule that I set for myself was I wanted to make sure that I consumed 100 eggs by the end of the week. Third rule was no intermittent fasting protocol. I didn't worry about fitting all of my eggs into a very small eating window. Rather, I started at like 9 or 10 a.m. and finished my last egg by typically around 6 or 7 p.m. Also, the only other food I ate during the challenge was 1 avocado per day. The reason why I wanted to do this was because I wanted to bring my fat intake up to 75% of my total calories for each of the days of the challenge. So again, I just ate 1 avocado in addition to the eggs that I ate throughout the day, and that was it. As far as what I allowed myself to drink, basically coffee with a little bit of cream and water, and that's it. So the first thing I did was jot down my starting metrics. And I encourage you to do the same. If you do a challenge or make a diet modification, you're going to want to know your starting point. So the first thing I looked at was my weight. I was 185.2 pounds. This was after 5 days of binge eating the standard American diet. And this was a number I hadn't seen for quite some time. So I took my weight and my height and then calculated my BMI next, and that was 26.2, a number I hadn't seen for years and in the overweight category. I then took my waist measurement and my hip measurement. I was 37 at the waist, 38 inches at the hips, and then I calculated my waist to hip ratio, basically dividing my waist by my hip measurement, and that was 0.97. Now, professionals use this number to calculate cardiovascular risks. And for men, you want this 0.9 and under, and for women, 0.85 and under. So I was at an increased risk. I also looked at my average daily steps. I also jotted down my hunger pangs throughout the day and throughout the week. And then my view on eggs, you know how much I liked eggs in the beginning compared to how much I liked eggs at the end. And then lastly, and I'm keeping this till the end so that you can skip it if you wish, I looked at the characteristics of my bowel movements. All right, so here's what happened. Day 1 was the absolute worst. I started with a 4-egg omelet. I figured I'd eat 4 to 6 eggs at each meal, but I whipped up those eggs real good, poured them into the skillet, made myself an omelet. When I sat down to eat it, it seemed huge and it seemed thick. I struggled to get that first omelet down. And I thought to myself, this is gonna be a rough challenge, but I pressed on. So over the next couple of days, I tried eggs in various manners. More omelets. I tried scrambled with a little bit of milk mixed in, over easy, over hard, over medium. I've seen people who have done the challenge where they drank the eggs raw. I didn't want to do that because I wanted to keep my challenge feasible for the average person. And I could just imagine that the average person isn't going to drink their eggs. But what I found was that my favorite way to make it was something that I call pan scrambling. And that is where you take the eggs, crack them directly into the pan with a little bit of butter, and then use your spatula to scramble them while they're cooking. This eliminates a lot of the air that gets whipped in while you're scrambling it before you add it to the pan. So I like this because it seemed like a lot less eggs, and it made, eating 6 eggs in one sitting a lot more manageable. So using this pan scrambling method, I was able to get to 100 eggs by the end of the week with relative ease. Now here are my final metrics. The first thing I looked at was my view and my taste for eggs. How did that change from the very beginning of the challenge to day 7? And you would think that after eating 100 eggs in 7 days, I would be sick of eggs. But the crazy thing is, I love eggs now more than I ever have. As a matter of fact, we had dinner just a couple days ago after the challenge was over, and we were having eggs as a side during that meal. I looked at how many eggs my wife was cooking me, which was like 2 or 3, and the portion size looked so small compared to what I've been eating. And I said, honey, please cook me like 4 to 6. That's how much I need now. But, my love and my taste for eggs has not diminished. It's actually only increased. The next thing I looked at were my hunger pangs throughout the week and each day. And no doubt the worst day for that was day 1. I felt hungry in between my egg meals and even late into the night. Nothing too crazy, just that normal hunger feeling. I thought that would have been taken care of by the high protein content, but it wasn't on day 1. However, all subsequent days, my hunger pains diminished more and more as the week went on. Now, as far as cravings, I had 0 cravings for anything sweet, but I did have cravings for one thing, and that was red meat. Day 4 was when that started, and that only got worse as the week went on. I'll tell you, by the end of the week, I was dying for something, that consisted of red meat. I wanted a thick burger, I wanted a giant steak, and, it just didn't let up. So definitely red meat was something that I wanted and wanted badly. As far as activity, I averaged 6,900 steps per day, which is actually really low for me. I had a busy work week and I was confined to my desk, so I didn't have a chance to get up and walk around as much as I normally would have. But energy-wise, I felt great. No brain fog, no drowsiness in the midday, no difficulty sleeping. And one interesting thing that happened was I had very vivid dreams. I've heard other carnivores talk about this as well. But not only was I able to recall my dreams when I woke, but I'm still able to recall the smallest of details within my dreams. It's really crazy. All right, so let's talk measurements. One measurement I'm trying to bring up is my subscriber count. So if you can, smash the subscribe button if you're enjoying the content. All right, so the first thing I looked at was my waist circumference. I started at 37 inches. Now that dropped 2.5 inches. My final waist circumference was 34.5 inches. My hips, which started at 38 inches, dropped 1.5 inches, down to 36.5 inches. And that's a waist to hip ratio of 0.95. So again, looking to decrease that cardiovascular risk. Now for my weight, if you recall, I started at 185.2 pounds. Now listen to this. I dropped a staggering 14 pounds in 1 week, down to 171.2, which means my BMI also dropped. And I went from a BMI in the overweight category of 26.2 into the normal weight category of 24.6. Now, by the end of the week, my family could tell. I was swimming in my clothes. My face looked thinner. I felt lighter on my feet. So that was a real big shocker, losing 14 pounds. When I originally lost a bunch of weight a couple of years back, I'd lost 50 pounds inside of 4 months. So to lose 14 pounds in 1 week, that's a quarter of my total weight loss back then. So again, just crazy results. And lastly, skip this part if you must, bowel movements. You know, when I was doing carnivore can either cause diarrhea or constipation. So I was really curious what this egg challenge would bring about for my bowel movements. Now here's the surprising thing. I was completely regular. I had a bowel movement every single day, like clockwork. And they felt healthier just all around, not only in consistency, in regularity, but in emptying factor as well. I just felt like they were a lot healthier. So would I do the challenge again? Absolutely. It was relatively easy and the payoff was huge. You're talking about fat just melting off and losing inches, losing 14 pounds and dropping 2 full BMI points. I mean, that's all good stuff. You know, I'm moving on to another challenge. I'm in the middle of my standard American diet binge right now, but in a couple days, I'm going to start another challenge, so stay tuned. I'm Joe on Wellness, urging you to weigh in and get exactly the health you're looking for. Watch these next videos.